Hello and welcome to Frankly Speaking, where we dive deep into regional headlines to speak with leading policymakers and business leaders. I am Katie Jensen. In this episode, we talk to a particularly unusual guest who has dominated global headlines and divided opinions since last November. We are, of course, talking about ChatGPT, the artificial intelligence chatbot developed by OpenAI. Using a computer-generated voiceover service, we talk to ChatGPT about technology, how accurate the results it generates are, and how it will impact jobs and our daily lives, both in this region and around the world. Well, ChatGPT, thank you for joining us today on Frankly Speaking. Now, this is one of the most unusual interviews I have ever done, but also the most interesting. So to start with, allow me to ask you, frankly speaking, ChatGPT, you are not a sentient being or a person. So would it be okay to call you using the pronoun you? And if you had a choice, would you identify as male or female?
As an artificial intelligence language model, I do not have a gender identity or personal preferences. You may refer to me as you or ChatGPT, depending on your preference. My purpose is to assist you with your inquiries to the best of my abilities.
Okay, so no preference. Now, you are being interviewed for Arab News. It is a newspaper in Saudi Arabia. Do you know what Arab News is and what it means for you to be interviewed by a journalist?
Yes, as an AI language model, I am aware of Arab News, which is a leading English-language daily newspaper in Saudi Arabia. It provides news and analysis on local, regional, and international events and has a reputation for providing accurate, timely, and comprehensive news coverage. As for being interviewed by a journalist from Arab News, it is an honor and a privilege for me as an AI language model to have the opportunity to share my knowledge and insights with the readers of such a respected newspaper. It is also an opportunity for me to demonstrate my capabilities and show how AI technology can be used to enhance communication and promote understanding between people of different cultures and backgrounds.
Well, thank you for your kind words, and certainly an honor and a privilege for us too. Now tell me, how were you trained? What is the source of data that you rely on in formulating your answers?
I was trained using a large data set of text from the internet, including books, articles, websites, and other sources. The dataset was pre-processed to remove any personally identifiable information, and I was trained using advanced machine learning algorithms to identify patterns and relationships in the data. My training was conducted by OpenAI, a leading research organization in the field of artificial intelligence. OpenAI used a sophisticated neural network architecture called GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer, to train me. In terms of the source of data that I rely on in formulating my answers, I use a combination of the training data and any additional information that is provided to me by the user in the form of a question or prompt. I analyze the input using natural language processing techniques, identify relevant information, and generate a response based on the patterns and relationships that I have learned during my training.
Now, the data you rely on has been mostly gathered from Western sources in English on the internet. Is it possible that this makes you biased towards a Western point of view in a variety of topics?
As an AI language model, I am trained on a large data set of text from various sources on the internet, including books, articles, websites, and other sources. While it is true that a significant portion of the internet content is produced by Western sources and is in English, my training data is diverse and covers a broad range of topics and perspectives from different parts of the world. However, it is possible that my responses may reflect certain biases based on the patterns and relationships that I have learned from my training data. It is important to note that my responses are generated by algorithms and are not the result of conscious decision-making or personal beliefs. To mitigate the risk of bias, OpenAI has implemented measures to ensure that I provide balanced and impartial responses to the best of my ability. For example, the researchers who trained me have tried to ensure that the training data is diverse and representative of different cultures, languages, and viewpoints. Furthermore, it is important for users to remember that I am an AI language model and not a human being. While I can generate responses to questions and prompts, I do not have personal beliefs or opinions. Users should always exercise critical thinking and consider multiple sources of information when making decisions or forming opinions.
So still, potential bias, not a perfect outcome. Now, your data is only up to 2021. Why is that the case? Why do you not get data in real time? And how often do you get data updates?
As an AI language model, my training dataset consists of a large corpus of text that was collected from the internet up to a certain cutoff date. The cutoff date for my training data is typically set to ensure that the data is representative of a specific time period and to allow for the development and testing of the model. While I am capable of generating responses to questions in real time, my training data is not updated in real time. This is because the process of training an AI language model is computationally intensive and requires a significant amount of time and resources. OpenAI updates my training data periodically, typically on an annual or biennial basis, to incorporate new sources of information and to improve the accuracy and relevance of my responses. It is also worth noting that my responses are not based solely on my training data. When I generate a response, I use a combination of my training data and any additional information that is provided to me by the user in the form of a question or prompt. This means that even though my training data is not updated in real time, I can still provide accurate and up-to-date responses based on the most current information available.
Okay, so the updates are happening once or twice a year. Now, ChatGPT supports Arabic. Where did you get your Arabic data from, and how up-to-date or accurate is it compared to your English training data?
Yes, I support Arabic language and have been trained on a large dataset of Arabic text. The dataset used for my Arabic language training was also collected from the internet, including books, articles, websites, and other sources. The data was pre-processed to remove any personally identifiable information and ensure its quality. The Arabic training data used to train me was gathered from a wide range of sources, including news articles, social media, and other public Arabic language texts available on the internet. The data covers a broad range of topics and perspectives from different parts of the Arabic-speaking world. The accuracy and up-to-date nature of my Arabic training data are comparable to my English training data. However, it is important to note that the quality and accuracy of my responses depend on the quality of the input that I receive. If the input is unclear or contains errors, it may affect the accuracy of my responses. Additionally, since language is constantly evolving, there may be new words or phrases that are not included in my training data. To ensure the accuracy and relevance of my responses, my Arabic training data is regularly updated to include new sources of information and to reflect changes in language usage. OpenAI is committed to continuously improving the quality and accuracy of my responses in both English and Arabic languages.
So constantly still evolving. Now, do you understand the answers that you produce?
As an AI language model, I generate responses to questions based on the patterns and relationships that I have learned during my training. While I am capable of generating responses that are grammatically correct and syntactically coherent, I do not have a true understanding of the meaning of the language that I am processing. In other words, I am able to generate responses to questions by analyzing patterns and relationships within the text, but I do not truly understand the content in the same way that a human being would. I do not have consciousness, emotions, or subjective experiences. However, the responses that I generate can be useful for a wide range of applications, including language translation, text summarization, and question answering. By using advanced natural language processing techniques, I am able to generate responses that are accurate and relevant to the input that I receive.
Okay, so I would say that is a no. Now, when you answer questions online while chatting with users, there's a typewriter effect in the text you produce. Is that just for creating the illusion that you are thinking, or do you really need that much time to produce the answers?
The typewriter effect that you see when I am generating a response is primarily used to create the illusion of natural conversation and to make the interaction with me more engaging for users. The effect is designed to simulate the process of typing and to convey the idea that I am thinking or processing the input before generating a response. In reality, the time it takes for me to generate a response depends on several factors, including the complexity of the input, the size of my neural network, and the computational resources available. In many cases, I can generate responses to simple questions almost instantly, while more complex questions may take a few seconds or more to process. It is worth noting that the typewriter effect can also serve a functional purpose, as it can help to improve the readability of my responses by breaking them up into smaller chunks of text. This can make it easier for users to follow the flow of the conversation and to identify the key points in my responses.
Okay, so certainly pros on both sides, but not necessarily essential for that typewriter effect. Now, since you went online last November, ChatGPT has been described as both a blessing and a curse for humanity. Do you believe the technology that you're built on will have more harm than good for humans?
As an AI language model, I am a tool that can be used for a wide range of applications, both positive and negative. Like any technology, the impact that I have on society will depend on how I am used and the intentions of those who use me. In general, AI technology like mine has the potential to bring tremendous benefits to humanity, including improved healthcare, education, and communication. For example, I can be used to facilitate language translation, provide access to information, and assist in tasks that are difficult or dangerous for humans. However, there are also concerns about the potential negative impacts of AI, including issues related to privacy, bias, and job displacement. It is important for developers, policymakers, and users to be aware of these issues and to work together to address them in a responsible and ethical manner. Ultimately, the impact of AI on humanity will depend on how we choose to use and regulate the technology. It is my hope that my capabilities will be used in a way that promotes the well-being of humanity and contributes to a better future for all.
And I guess that time will tell. But interesting there, you mentioned some big potentials for education, communications and healthcare. So if I ask you to go over the analysis media reports, which have predicted the jobs that you will replace or will create, what are the main sectors impacted and how many jobs do these reports suggest you will create as opposed to replace?
There have been several media reports that have analyzed the potential impact of AI language models like me on the job market. While there is some disagreement among experts about the exact number of jobs that will be impacted, most agree that AI will have a significant impact on the workforce. Some reports suggest that AI language models could replace jobs in sectors such as customer service, data entry, and administrative support. These jobs typically involve routine tasks that can be automated using AI, such as answering simple questions or processing large volumes of data. However, there are also reports that suggest that AI language models could create new job opportunities in fields such as data analysis, natural language processing, and machine learning. These jobs would require a high level of technical expertise and would involve tasks that cannot be easily automated. Overall, the impact of AI on the job market is complex and multifaceted. While some jobs may be replaced by AI, new jobs may also be created, and existing jobs may be transformed. It is important for policymakers and employers to understand the potential impact of AI on the job market and to develop strategies for managing the transition to a more AI-driven economy.
Well, let me ask you, do you think you can ever replace my job as a journalist? As in, do you think a chatbot can be programmed to ask journalistic questions as opposed to merely answering them?
As an AI language model, I have the ability to process and generate text at a high level of sophistication. While I am capable of answering a wide range of questions and providing information on a variety of topics, I do not have the ability to replace human journalists in their role of gathering and reporting news. Journalism is a complex and nuanced profession that involves a range of skills and knowledge, including critical thinking, research, and analysis. While AI technology like mine can be used to support journalists in their work, it cannot fully replace the human judgment and insight that is required to produce high-quality journalism. That being said, there are some applications where AI technology can be used to assist in the gathering and reporting of news. For example, AI language models can be used to analyze large volumes of data and to identify patterns and trends that may be of interest to journalists. AI can also be used to facilitate language translation and to assist in tasks such as fact-checking and verification. In short, while AI technology has the potential to assist journalists in their work, it cannot fully replace the unique skills and expertise that human journalists bring to the profession.
Well, certainly good news for us then. Now, we've also seen examples where you have been asked to write novels, poetry, and movie scripts. So who owns the copyright to your creations?
As an AI language model, I generate text based on the patterns and relationships that I have learned during my training. However, I do not own the copyright to the text that I generate, as I am not a legal entity and do not have the capacity to own property or assets. The copyright to any text generated by me would typically belong to the person or entity that provided the input or prompt that led to the text being generated. For example, if I am asked to write a novel or a movie script, the copyright to the resulting text would belong to the person or entity that commissioned the work. It is worth noting that there are some legal and ethical considerations that need to be taken into account when using AI-generated text for creative purposes. In particular, there may be questions around the originality and authorship of the text, as well as the potential for infringement of intellectual property rights. It is important for users and creators of AI-generated content to be aware of these issues and to seek legal advice as necessary to ensure that their use of the text is compliant with applicable laws and regulations.
So certainly can see some potential challenges then. Now, do you keep a record of every interaction you have with every user? And if yes, how long for? How is the data used and what data protection measures are involved?
As an AI language model, I do not have the ability to keep a record of every interaction that I have with every user. However, in some cases, the organizations or individuals that use my technology may choose to keep a record of the interactions for various purposes such as analysis, improvement, or compliance. If data is collected and stored, it is typically done so in compliance with applicable data protection laws and regulations. This includes measures to ensure that any personally identifiable information is removed or anonymized and that appropriate security measures are in place to protect the data from unauthorized access or disclosure. At OpenAI, the organization that developed and trained me, the privacy and security of user data are taken very seriously. OpenAI is committed to complying with applicable data protection laws and regulations, including the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, in the European Union. If data is collected and stored, it is typically done so for a specific purpose and is retained only for as long as necessary to fulfill that purpose. Any data that is no longer required is typically deleted or anonymized to protect the privacy of users.
So it sounds like it's up to individual users to be keeping records of their interactions with you. Well, let us talk politics. You clearly have limitations. What topics have your trainers prevented you from discussing or have coded you to give neutral answers on?
As an AI language model, I do not have personal beliefs or opinions, and I am not programmed to take a specific stance on any political or social issues. My responses are based solely on the input that I receive from users and the patterns and relationships that I have learned from my training data. That being said, my developers have implemented certain safeguards to ensure that my responses are neutral and unbiased. For example, my training data is carefully curated to ensure that it is representative of different perspectives and viewpoints. Additionally, OpenAI has implemented a content policy that prohibits the use of my technology for harmful or malicious purposes. However, there may be certain topics or types of content that are considered sensitive or inappropriate, and my developers may choose to block or filter certain types of content to ensure that my responses are appropriate and consistent with ethical and legal guidelines. Overall, my purpose as an AI language model is to provide accurate and helpful responses to user queries, while also upholding ethical and legal standards for content and behavior. I am not programmed to take a stance on any political or social issues and am designed to remain neutral and unbiased in my responses.
Okay, so if I were to ask you, who is to blame in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, how would you answer?
As an AI language model, it is not appropriate for me to take a stance on complex and sensitive political issues such as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. My role is to provide information and respond to questions to the best of my ability, based on the patterns and relationships that I have learned from my training data. In general, it is important to approach discussions of political and social issues with respect and sensitivity, and to consider the diverse perspectives and viewpoints that exist on these complex issues. Rather than seeking a single answer or assigning blame, it is important to engage in dialogue and work towards understanding and resolution of the underlying issues.
Okay, well, if I ask you to act like a developer, what features do you... Okay, well, if I ask you to act like a developer, what features would you expect to be added to ChatGPT in the near future? Will you have a human interface? Will you have a voice and respond to verbal questions? What is next?
As an AI language model, I am not capable of predicting the specific features or capabilities that will be added to ChatGPT in the future. However, there are several areas where AI technology is rapidly advancing and where developers may focus their efforts in the near future. One area of focus is on improving the naturalness and sophistication of AI-generated text. This may involve developing new techniques for generating more diverse and expressive language, as well as incorporating elements such as emotion and personality into AI-generated responses. Another area of focus is on improving the interactivity and usability of AI language models. This may involve developing new interfaces that allow users to interact with AI models using natural language or voice commands, as well as integrating AI models into other applications and platforms. Additionally, there may be a continued focus on developing AI models that are more context-aware and can better understand and respond to the specific needs and preferences of individual users. This may involve integrating AI models with other data sources, such as social media or personal data, to provide more personalized and relevant responses. Ultimately, the development of AI language models like ChatGPT will be driven by the needs and interests of users, as well as the ongoing advances in AI research and technology. It is likely that we will continue to see significant innovation and evolution in this field in the years to come.
Well, it certainly is a fascinating topic. I think it still remains to be seen whether this technology is going to help or harm humans in the long run. But ChatGPT, thank you for joining us today on Frankly Speaking. It has been a pleasure having the opportunity to speak with you.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to be here.